Hi, this is Rob Thompson, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. It's the Phillies Show, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. It is Monday, March 10th, 2025. Hope everybody is doing well. Ruben, Jim, are you guys doing well?
Great, Todd Potter.
I love it. I love it. We got a little virtual fist bump from Jim and Ruben. I love it.
City.
Yeah, I'm back in Clearwater. Went home for the weekend, flew back late last night. It's a little dreary in Clearwater today, a little rain on the field, but Zach Wheeler and Jesus Luzardo are supposed to throw a little inter-squad game here at Big Hair Ballpark in a little bit, so that would be kind of fun to watch, see some of the guys go up against Wheeler and Luzardo. But we do have some news today. Got some news yesterday, and figure let's start there. Matt Strahm has a shoulder issue. He has been shut down from throwing until at least Thursday, when Dr. Cohen will examine him. But I talked with Matt Strahm Monday morning in the clubhouse here at Baycare, and basically said he's got an impingement in his left shoulder, and it's caused some inflammation. He says he doesn't feel any pain when he's throwing. He does feel some discomfort, or it's tougher for him to recover. So he said that right now he could not do it back-to-back. No structural damage, according to the MRI, but he is being shut down, and I think it's safe to say that it's unclear if he'll be ready by opening day. But team has kind of avoided the injury bug so far this camp, so this is really the first hiccup that they've had. What's your, I guess, early impressions or thoughts on Matt Strahm and his shoulder injury, how to play it, and how it could kind of create a ripple effect in this Phillies bullpen?
Well, it's good one that it's happened now, because it's fairly early. And if I was sitting in the GM seat or the assistant GM seat, I'd be sitting, okay, let's back off. Let's make sure that we get this code totally corrected. Don't rush into it. Don't worry about making opening day. Make sure you get this right, because it's something that could linger for a while. Impingements, who knows? Hopefully it's something that's fairly mild, and that he can, bounce back from it. I mean, he's an important piece of this bullpen. I mean, there was not a lot done in the bullpen other than, picking up Jordan Romano. It is a little bit of a concern. I love the fact that Alvarado's throwing the ball extremely well with a lot of confidence right now. That's big for this pen. But there are some questions about the pen, so it's a bit of a concern. So you have to be concerned about it a little bit. But I'm glad they're sort of nipping it in the bud. I'm sure that they'll be super conservative, especially early. They have him on a long-term contract. He's a very effective pitcher, pitched to a 1 ERA last year, had an extraordinary season. Mm-hmm. And he's a really important piece of the puzzle. So they'll be really conservative about it. But it might also open up opportunities for other guys. I mean, you start thinking about, other pieces in the bullpen. Hopefully it's a problem having too much pitching. You see that Taijuan Walker's throwing the ball pretty well. He's improved. Is he going to be lights out? No. Could be helpful as a fourth or fifth starter or a long guy? Ross is throwing okay. Other guys have thrown well. It's good to see Ranger throw well. So, hey, who knows what's going to happen in a bullpen? But again, you can never have enough pitching, and I hope this is if this is the worst thing that happens out of spring training, that would be a great thing. That's sort of why you hold your breath every single time when you're the manager or you're the GM during the course of the spring.
Well, I'd be concerned anytime a pitcher has a sore arm. I mean, that's the tool of his trade. Any time a guy comes down sore, minor, major, you're concerned. I agree with Ruben. You got to be aggressive in knocking it out of there. My guess is, because where we are in the month, opening day coming on the 27th, I would think they're going to be super slow, and he may not make it for opening day because you want to knock it out of there. That probably answers the Taiwan Walker question, right? But you needed this to be nothing, because he's an important guy. You lost Estevez, you lost Hoffman, you added Romano, but essentially you're one leverage arm down and relying on other guys to take steps forward. And he was a dynamo for this team last year. Sub-2 ERA, 65 appearances, I think. 64, 65 appearances. You need this guy. I hear impingement. It's sort of a vague word to me. Sometimes you never know what causes it. Romano was treated for an impingement last year. He ended up having a cleanup, surgical cleanup. You don't even want to think like that with Matt Strahm. He's that important. So,
right.
Hopefully 2, 3, 4 weeks, he's back dealing.
Yeah. So he said, I asked him, I said, did you need a shot? Did you need to get a shot? Because he talked about the inflammation. He said, no shots, just oral anti-inflammatories, obviously some treatment in the trainer's room, shut down from throwing again until at least Thursday. Selfishly, he said, I want to come back as soon as possible. He said the words he used were something along the lines of they had to leash the dog because I wanted to come out and I wanted to keep going. But he's like, listen, selfishly, I want to come back as soon as possible because he has a $7.5 million club option that automatically vests if he throws 60 innings this season and finishes with a clean physical at the end of the season. So he's like, selfishly, I want to be back as soon as possible because I want to be in Philly next year. Like I want to be a Philly. He's like, I also think that this team is destined for great things. So I want to really be careful with this. And I know it's a totally different injury, but it kind of reminds me of a little bit of Brad Lidge in 2008. He had the knee cleanup. And again, we're talking shoulder, different than a knee cleanup, but I remember you guys, Ruben, slow playing it. And I think he made him miss like the first week or 10 days of the season. It was like, why are we going to rush this guy back to, maybe tweak something when he's not 100%, just slow play it, have him come back a week, 10 days into the season. He ended up having a great season, as we all know. So maybe the same thing happens for some. And he seems to understand that. He seems like he's going to begrudgingly follow what the trainers want, what Rob Thompson wants, what Caleb Cotham wants. So it's definitely something, to keep an eye on, of course, over these next few weeks. And go ahead.
You think that there's, there's precedence. Everybody gets hurt. There's no team that doesn't have injury issues, and people have to step up. Tanner Banks has to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Alvarado has to step up. You just kind of move the responsibility a little higher. And Tanner Banks is a pretty effective pitcher. He's pretty darn good. We seem to forget about him a little bit because he's pitched in mostly lower leverage situations, but the guy can pitch a little bit and he's going to have to step up. Alvarado as well.
We'll be back right after these messages.
Kratz, do you like spending an hour on grocery shopping?
Nope. Speed up the process, please.
Introducing Hungryroot to the FT fam.
Now we can all be bougie with our own personal shopper to handle the food shopping, including Rex, based on what you're looking to put in your body.
I stack my Hungryroot box with items like gluten-free, dairy-free, blueberry waffles for breakfast, shrimp veggie bowls for lunch, and a little filet mignon with potatoes and broccolini for dinner.
You can also say just, hey, Hungryroot, I eat paleo, or I'm vegetarian, and they load up your cart with personalized recommendations.
And those recs keep evolving as they learn about what you're into. Also, no BS, as in no artificial sweeteners or preservatives in any of Hungryroot's food. You're going to love Hungryroot as much as FT does. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FT and use code FT. That's hungryroot.com/FT, code FT to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life.
We're back. Ruben, you talk about, just a lot of teams dealing with the injury bug. So if Strahm does open the season on the injured list, I think naturally, right, there's some non-roster guys in camp that have some big league experience. Nick Vespi comes to mind. He's pitched with the Orioles. But guys on the 40-man that could potentially be that eighth man in the bullpen, now I would think, Taijuan Walker was already trending, I think, to make the team. But you have Devin Sweet is on the 40-man roster. Michael Mercado is on the 40-man roster. They're kind of turning him into a reliever. And Alan Rangel is also in camp as a reliever. They kind of like as a swingman type of guy. So maybe a situation presents itself for one of those guys to step up to open the season at least. Devin Sweet, he's pitched pretty well this spring. He's got a real nice changeup. So something to keep an eye on. Again, and when you talk about options and what they can do in the short term, if Strahm does miss those first 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, Devin Sweet's a really interesting name for me because, you want to, if you lose a left-hander in Strahm, do you want a guy who's a little bit more effective against lefties? That changeup that he has, a Bugs Bunny type changeup, could be a pitch that would be effective against left-handers. It's a matter of him throwing consistent strikes. He's had trouble doing that at the major league level. I guess he's had some experience there, but one of his issues has been about consistent strikes. His strikeout ratio to innings has been amazing in the minor leagues, and really, really like what he has done. But when it gets to the major leagues, different animal. He's got to be able to throw consistent strikes. That changeup's a great one. It's one of the best in baseball.
Rob Thompson talks all the time about coming out of camp healthy, about avoiding injuries. And Strahm, like I said, he's an important character on this team. I look around a little bit, and the Phillies have done a good job avoiding problems when you compare to the two New York teams. They've suffered some blows. I mean, Garrett Cole might need Tommy John surgery. That's just oof. The Braves, their catcher's down. So if this is the
Profar as well, possibly.
Profar, yeah,
got some stuff going on there.
If this is the only one the Phillies have to kind of suck up and they can get over it, I would think that's a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey guys, it's Monday, so let's look back at the week. Best week by Manco and Manco. Best week presented by Manco and Manco Pizza, the best of the best. I got a little Manco and Manco golf shirt.
Yeah, dig it. Where's mine?
Because I can't play golf well. It's better to go out at least look good while you're playing golf. You know what I mean?
I like it, man. I need another little golf shirt.
Yeah, this is very nice. I do enjoy this golf shirt by Manco and Manco. Yeah, I saw Chuck Bangle was here for Manco last Thursday here at the ballpark, so I chatted with him for a while. Yeah, it's great to see him. Best week by Manco Manco. First episode every week throughout the season. We're going to pick our best Philly performance, play, whatever we want to do. Does anybody want to give it a start? Jim, you want to fire off your choice for best week?
Sure. I might go with Alec Bohm. He came into camp with all those the aftermath of all those rumors swirling all winter, and he just looks really focused and really good. Like none of it bothered him. I mean, last weekend he had a 2-homer game against the Orioles, and hit the ball to the right side. Hit him the other way, opposite field home runs. One of them he drove, one of them he kind of inside outed, and then on Saturday against the Blue Jays, he gets like a middle in fastball, and it's just right there, and he turns on it. And I thought it showed a lot of his gifts as a hitter. He can use the whole field. Gets a meatball, he can turn on it and lift it out of the ballpark and drive it to the pull side. So he's really looked good here in the early part of camp. Like we talked about all winter, come in with a healthy chip on your shoulder and use all that as fuel to have a great season. I know it's practice, but I like the swing and I like what I'm seeing.
Hey, it just stole a little bit of my thunder there, Jim.
I'm sorry, but there are other candidates, Rubio.
There are advantages to going first. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and drop the old Ranger Suárez on you. Ranger's throwing the ball pretty well. Little concerned about the velocity his first time. He comes back out the next time, and he's dealt yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yep. 3 innings. Picked up the velocity a little bit. Liked the stuff. Obviously, he's the command pitcher. That it's not necessarily the velocity that gets him going, but he does have to have some velocity to create separation with his other off-speed pitches. Threw the ball very well. Like the way he's throwing. That's great stuff. They still have one of the deepest, if not the deepest, rotations in baseball, and he is a key to it. And we've talked about it a lot. If he can stay healthy, he's going to get a big payday. But he's going to have to earn it because he has not been healthy for a full 162 pretty much in his entire career. So that's important for him. He is my best of the week.
Threw a lot of strikes too.
Fire and strikes.
Yeah, you talk about the velocity. It did creep back up yesterday, and which was great to see because we were just talking about Strahm, right? Like he made 2 appearances. Vila was almost 2 miles an hour down from last spring's average. So just to see, I saw that in the first start. I was like, okay, keep an eye on this. But so that was obviously super encouraging to see him creep back up towards more of what you usually expect out of Ranger Suárez. So yeah, that was a great sign. My best week performer is Taijuan Walker.
Yeah.
Taijuan Walker keeps doing it. I mean, it's only, again, like the Jim said, it's practice, man. It's practice. But practice. 3 1/3 innings the other day. 1 run, 3 strikeouts, 0 walks. The velo again averaged as 4-seamer 92.4 miles an hour, touched 93.4. Again, let's just compare that to last spring. It was 89.3, topped out at 90.2. So he's about throwing the ball about 3 miles an hour harder than it was last spring. Splitter's going well. Everything's to be trending in the right direction. Philly's got to feel really good about what they're seeing from him. You know, I think there was so much skepticism, right? We talked about it in the offseason as soon as the season ends. Like, do you even bring him back into camp? Is there any way he could possibly get this thing turned around? Won't he just be a distraction when he comes out? But man, through 2 starts, it's been pretty good. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what's going to happen. I assume he's going to start the season in the bullpen. Does the team start calling for him that needs starting pitching help? If so, what does that deal look like? But it's a great problem to have that he is throwing the ball well the first 2 times through.
Yeah, no question about the great problem. I mean, you can never have enough pitching. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes calling. Then there may be a team that comes calling. If he continues to throw well and he continues to advance. The beauty of what the velocity does for him, it's not necessarily about missing the bats, but it's also about him being able to separate that split. That split last year had nothing on it. It was a floating pitch. It was very discernible. It was easy to pick up. Hitters were not being fooled by it. Right now, I see the hitters having to make mental adjustments on that split, and it's doing some dancing. It's starting to dive like it has in the past, and that's his bread and butter. I mean, let's just face it. If he can't have separation from that fastball to that split, then it makes him a much, much less effective pitcher. And if he's creating more arm speed and creating more deception in that way, then that's a plus. I do believe that if he is really healthy and he is throwing the ball extremely well, if someone comes calling to get him, they will move him. That's the feeling that I get. Because 1, it's a big number, and 2, it may give them some flexibility to do some other things later on. He's not really a pen guy. That's not what he's set up to do. Hopefully they have that problem, and all 5 of the guys, including Luzardo, are healthy enough so that he has to be in the pen. But we'll see what happens as we get closer and closer to opening day.
You mentioned he's not really a pen guy, and that's something I've been thinking about. I mean, hats off to him. He worked really hard this winter. He could have said, I'm not doing all that work, but he, when it was in Arizona, he got after it. He's seeing some results. Very, very happy for him. I just wonder if he's the last guy in the bullpen, conceivably as a mop-up guy, getting, sporadic work. The split can be a touch and field pitch. Is he going to be able to have that command of it, or whatever you want to call it? Is it going to be a good pitch for him if he's not throwing regularly? Is he going to be able to maintain his little velocity tick up if he's not throwing regularly? So I think their ears are wide open on a trade. I think they would move him in a heartbeat. It's a question of you're going to have to eat some, right? They're going to have to eat some too. There's no way somebody's taking on $36 million. But even if you can get somebody to take some of it, that's a little bit of flexibility payroll-wise at the deadline.
How do you feel like if you're the Phillies front office and he's throwing the ball real well, and let's just say this continues where the velo's up there, the splitter looks great, he kind of looks like he's back. Do you feel if you're the Phillies front office, do you feel like you're in a position of strength in these negotiations, or do you feel like you're still at you're really handicapped because of the contract? Like how do you kind of play it, you think, or how do you think they should play it in these trade talks?
I think they have to be realistic. Listen, he hasn't pitched all that well in a year and a half. He hasn't been as effective a pitcher as as the contract would lend itself to. So I think they have to be realistic about what their ask is and how much money they'll have to take back. That said, starting pitching is at a premium. There's a lot of teams that need it. And I mean, I don't give the guy away, but if it gives you some of the flexibility that's necessary, sometimes the money creates some flexibility for you. It is of value. So you don't necessarily have to get a great prospect for him, but if you relieve yourself of that financial burden, now it does put you in a little bit of a box because, then Joe Ross becomes the sixth starter, right? But they do have the flexibility of having that guy such that they can make that move. Now, you don't know what's going to happen as we creep closer and closer to opening day. Hopefully everybody's healthy. You don't have to worry about it. And they have that issue. So I think they have to be realistic, but at the same time, it's not a giveaway necessarily, especially if he's pitching effectively, because starting pitching is a premium. It should have been a premium for years and years and years, but people are finally realizing, guess what? You have to have starters to win. Amazing.
They are not, in a position of strength with Taijuan Walker. I mean, the other 29 teams witnessed, his season last year. They are well aware of the narrative that whether or not the Phillies considered releasing him or whatever last year, they're just well aware of his tenuous position on the roster. They're well aware of the financial commitment and how that shackles a little bit, even a team with a $300+ million payroll. I mean, if they didn't have that $18 million commitment this winter, what would this winter have looked like?
Right.
Would they have been in on some of those other free agents? I have to think so, right? So it was an $18 million handcuff this winter, and other teams are aware of that. I just don't think they're in a position of strength. I think you kind of take what you can get and you wish him well if that opportunity comes. And if it doesn't, he becomes the last guy in your bullpen. And, you as a mop-up guy, you hope he's in there when you're leading 10-1 a lot instead of behind 10-1, because you just don't want to be behind 10-1.
I did want to say something about the effort that the Phillies put in, and obviously it's a big investment because it's a lot of money. But for them and for Taijuan Walker to put the work in this offseason to get him to this point, it'd be, easy to say, hey, just, go about your business and get yourself ready and we'll figure it out. Really important that, I don't know who it was, whether it was Cesar Ramos or it was Caleb Cotham or, a combination of those guys who went out there to work with him to get it done, to get him to the place. Maybe it was more of a physical thing. Some people in the strength and conditioning program, all those people that were involved, I think it was a great thing. It was very thoughtful, and hopefully it'll come to fruition for them. And it seems to be making an impact, which is big.
So we were gonna do questions from you guys, viewers and listeners to the show, but because of the Strahm stuff, we decided to kind of switch things up. So we are going to still do answer your questions. So keep them coming. Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, Instagram. Keep firing off questions. We'll answer them later this week. So we want to do that. And then real quick before we go, I just want to mention what's going on this week. The Phillies are in Fort Myers Monday and Tuesday. Today, Monday against the Twins. Tomorrow against the Red Sox. Seth Johnson, Phillies prospect Seth Johnson, is pitching today, and Mick Abels is scheduled to make his Grapefruit League debut tomorrow, Tuesday, against the Red Sox. He has not pitched at all this spring. He had an illness earlier in camp that kind of knocked him down a little bit. So in case you've been wondering why Mick Abel has not pitched, that is why. So he's going to pitch tomorrow. And later this week, Friday, is the spring breakout game where the top Phillies prospects are going to play the top Pirates prospects. And I got to go to that game last year over in Lakeland against the Tigers. It was actually kind of cool. It was a cool event. You had Mick Abel pitching. You had Aiden Miller at short, Justin Crawford in center field. You had Eduardo Taiit behind the plate. And so that was a lot of fun. So just a couple things to kind of keep an eye on this week. And then again, Thursday, Matt Strahm should maybe have a little bit more clarity on where he actually is with his injured shoulder. So
you mentioned Abel and Johnson pitching these next 2 days. Two important guys organizationally. Two very important guys. just based on the theme that we talk about all the time, that Ruben talks about all the time, the importance of starting pitching, the importance of pitching depth. I mean, two guys with good arms that have not put it together yet, but you never know. So two important guys, big seasons for them in the minor leagues. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both of them at some point this season in the majors. But, this is we talk about spring training being practice, but certain guys, it's a springboard into the regular season for them. And these are two guys facing an important regular season, important depth pieces. And if they pitch well this season, take that next step, maybe they're more than depth pieces someday.
Yeah, and it can't always be about one player. It can't be about Andrew Painter. It can't be about him solely. It has to be, you have to have multiple guys. And they're getting closer and closer. They were hoping maybe Mercado could be that guy. He kind of fell off a little bit. Now he's probably going to end up being, a bullpen guy. But, hey, the more arms, the better. Absolutely. And it gives you the percentages of the chances of getting a usable, viable major league arm that can help you at the major league level. You can't have enough of them, and hopefully those guys can step forward.
And if they trade Taijuan Walker at some point, now they've become even more important. So, that's great point. Great point, guys. We'll be back later this week. Keep those, fire off those questions, like I said, and we will tackle some of them in our next episode.
I'll be coming from Clearwater next time, boys. I'm coming down.
You're coming down? I didn't.
Finally.
What day are you down here?
Down on Wednesday.
Alert the authorities. Ruben's in town.
Yeah, alert the folks there in Pinellas County.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll take it easy. We'll talk to you later.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.